with the news that Mbokazi is heading over to Chicago Fire and a great run of form, let's take a look at Pirates this season so far. Is it good so far? Is it great? Are they gonna win the title? The answer to all those questions right now looks like it's yes. But let's break it down. First game of the season for Pirates was at home against Sekhukhune United, and at the time we thought, it's Orlando Pirates, you know what I mean? The only team that really has been able to somewhat keep up with Sundowns while they went on this iconic run of just winning everything, but not everything, CAF. Yeah. But we didn't know that this is a Sekhukhune side that this year would come out and swing for the championship, and that's what they did on game week 1. They beat Orlando Pirates at home, and Pirates looked flat. They didn't look like they want to be there. It was a bad start to the season. Pirates looked to brush themselves off and go again. Of course, you know what I mean? Second game was against Marumo Gallants. This time it was away. You kind of expect Pirates to pick themselves up. It's Marumo Gallants, They're not that big. They're not a big team. Pirates looked very good. Pirates looked great. They got a brilliant team goal. I think Pirates scored first in this game. But it just felt like Gallants had just more aura. You know what I mean? They just felt bigger. It's almost like they knew that this is a Pirates side that lacked confidence, because that's what it looked like in this game. It looked like they lacked confidence, and Marumo Gallants had all the confidence that they needed to go out and get the win. 66th minute, Clifford comes on, the number 9, scores in the 90th minute. Marumo Gallants really came out to play today. They got their 3 points. Pirates didn't though. And now it seemed like that Pirates that was constantly fighting for the title, it felt like they were discouraged from Sundowns always being the one to get a foot over the line, and they just never being able to quite be close enough to Sundowns to force them into a mistake to capture that title. It looked like all of those bad results was catching up to Pirates, and they had to do something about it. Third game of the season in the league for Pirates. They welcomed Stellenbosch into... I don't know what the stadium is called, but they welcomed Stellenbosch to Orlando, and obviously we now know that this was a good Stellenbosch side, right? This is a Stellenbosch side that grew into the season, right? They kind of gained a little bit of confidence from CAF and started bringing it into the league. At this point, though, it wasn't looking good for Stellenbosch, and it showed in this performance. And to be honest, let's be honest, it wasn't because Stellenbosch wasn't good in this match. It's because Pirates came into this game leveled up. Okay, they just come out of a 1-1 draw with Mamelodi Sundowns in the MTN 8. You know what I mean? They were feeling confident. You could see it in their performances. They came out to play immediately in the 14th minute. Bang! Outside the box. Banger, stunner of a goal. This would start to become a pattern for Pirates, right? Where they're trying different things, but the only thing that goes in is like the most insane goal you've ever seen. Like, this would become a recurring theme, but right now it felt like luck, It felt like Pirates got lucky to score this goal, but they weren't lucky to be in the lead. With that being said though, Pirates did play around Stellenbosch. Whole 90 minutes, Stellenbosch was outplayed, and then Pirates hosted Orbit College back in Orlando after they knocked out Sundowns on pens in the MTN 8 Cup. This was a routine win. This was a return of form. This was the Pirates that Amapakanea were expecting. Do you know what I mean? This is the Pirates that every fan that watches this team week in, week out, the fans that are in the stadium, this was the Pirates that they were expecting from game week 1. Straight out the gate, they controlled the game. Okay, they took control of the game immediately. They didn't let Orbit get anywhere near the ball. Even though it was a boring first half, it was it was good from Pirates. You know what I mean? If you're a Pirates fan, you look at that first half and you're like, we absolutely dominated. No goals though, no action. It's a boring game for a neutral like me. But it's okay. You know what I mean? Nonetheless, second half, they come out immediately. They're like, yeah, okay, we established our dominance. Now we're gonna go get the goal. You know what I mean? They put in a shift this game. This game is where I feel like the tables turned, right? You could argue it's the performances in the MTN 8 that really brought out Pirates' confidence and their title run. But I think you could trace it back to this game, this Orbit College game. If you go back and watch the performance, this was a different Pirates than the Pirates that we saw against Stellenbosch, than the Pirates that we saw against Marumo Gallants that couldn't really get their foot down. This was a completely different Pirates than the one that faced Sukukune and just, it felt like they were playing with their heads down. You know what I mean? This was a Pirates that had their chest out, a Pirates that was confident, that wanted to win the league. And then Pirates goes away to Chippa United. They're finally on the road and they tried it. Let's be honest. First half, they tried it again, okay? They tried that spectacular outside the box shot, okay? They tried it again. It didn't go in. But then they got a simple but techie first goal. I mean, just that little shimmy to disrupt the keeper's rhythm, to kind of psych him out. That was beautiful. Tapping into the back of the net. A beautiful bit of class. And then they score another screamer, right? From like the edge of the penalty box, like on that side. They get it into the bottom right corner. It was a very good goal. It was a very good display. They dominated the game again. You know what I mean? They were professional. I feel like this was a professional performance, and this was building off of the game against Orbit College, right? They got that boost, they got that energy, and coming into this game as well, they were hyped. And let me just say, so far in this 4 games, Mbokazi has been so defensively solid. He showed a different level. You know what I mean? In this game specifically, that third goal, it might be the third, it might be the second, I'm not sure, but that third goal, the cross he put in for the winger to then drag back and banger, it was good. His passing range and his defensive attributes are just, it makes sense why he's such a hot commodity. And then Pirates goes away to Siwelele and they do it again, right? They put in another professional performance. This was a demonstration of something that I talked about in the Sundowns video. If you haven't seen it, go watch that video. Big teams get big results. You know what I mean? Even if a result isn't going your way, a title-winning team finds a way to get that 3 points. And that's what they did in this game. This was a very tight game. It was a very cagey game. But it was a professional display from Pirates. You know what I mean? They looked in control the whole time. Every time Siwelele had a little bit of success on the ball, Sundowns would come in and take that away. They would negate it. And then they went on the other hand, they got their goal and they secured that 3 points. This was a very professional performance from Orlando Pirates. And if they want to win the league, these are the type of performances that they need to put in and week out. And so far, it looks like they are, right? 3 games in a row, 9 points available, 9 points taken. This, from a Pirates fan perspective, it felt like Sundowns can't do this. Kaizer Chiefs, despite having the best defense in the league, cannot, for some reason, put in these professional performances, right? Where they go out and they just get the job done. They just get the 3 points. It feels like, at this point of the season, it feels like Orlando Pirates is the only team that is able to do that. And so far, it's working out very well. And then there was TS Galaxy, right? And it was more of the same, right? Except in this game, it felt like TS Galaxy handed Pirates the win. You know, when they conceded that penalty, that just set a precedent for the rest of the game. And again, there's not really anything more to say in this game, especially because the TS Galaxy has been so bad this season, dog. I don't understand how TS Galaxy is 8th right now. At the time of recording, TS Galaxy is 8th. But Pirates came out and they did what they needed to do. You know, they got their goals, they got their 3 points, and again, a beautiful defensive display. Midfield was on point, attack was on point. They got their 2 goals, they got their 3 points, and they moved on. This is what I'm talking about. It was a professional performance. It looked like a championship winning team. And then there was the game against Polokwane City, which when I looked at the 2 teams, right, and I look at them right now, going back and watching the team, I felt like this was going to be I felt like this was going to be why do I keep saying Sundowns? Pirates. I felt like this was going to be Pirates' biggest test, right? Because this is a team that nobody expects to be even in the conversation for the title, but somehow they are lingering. They are right there, okay? This is a team that that welcomed Sekhukhune at home and absolutely destroyed them, start to finish, dominated the game. So coming into this game, you know, I expected a competitive game, but no, Pirates shut that down immediately. Okay, from start to finish, first minute to 90th, it was Pirates. Okay, that is the name of the game for this game. Pirates did everything. They attacked, they defended, they outplayed them in the midfield. The only thing that kept them in that game is that goalkeeper. Shout out to him. He was phenomenal, bro. Especially in the dying minutes, because that's when Pirates got their goal, right in the second half. That they desperately needed that, because like I said, big teams, this is what they do, right? They go out there, they get the job done, they get the 3 points, and they move on to the next. That's what Pirates did. And they needed that goal. They got their goal, they got their 3 points, and they left. You know, there's not much to say about it. And then it was the game against Mamelodi Sundowns. And at this point, we already knew as fans, right? Not just based on previous seasons, but based on the performance of both of these teams this season, we kind of had a feeling that even though Pirates is having a better season, these two are going to be the front runners for the title of the season, right? Kaizer Chiefs is performing good, but as a Kaizer Chiefs fan myself, we know Kaizer Chiefs. We know Kaizer Chiefs is going to get close and then they're just going to slip up. You know what I mean? That's what they do. But it felt like this is a title eliminator, okay? And let's be honest, it was maybe not in the result, but in the performance, it was. This for me, this showed me who out of these 2 teams is more likely to win the title, and I don't like the answer. Because the first half is when both goals were scored, right? Both teams looked amazing. Sundowns were showing their Brazilian flair, as they call. I don't know. They were showing their flair in and outside of the box, but Pirates consistently showed a higher level. Do you know what I mean? They didn't show that flair, that interplayer relationship, but they showed more unity than Sundowns did. Where Sundowns had a lot of individual performances, especially in that first half, Pirates worked together to kind of shut it down, right? They conceded the first goal, even though Pirates was in control, right? That goal was against the run of play. It was a counter-attack. They concede the first goal, and then immediately they go to the other side. I think, in the 40th minute, they go to the other side, they get their goal. And then the second half, bro, if you watch this game as a Pirates fan and you don't leave with glee, excitement, there's something wrong. Okay, there's something wrong, because that second half was scary, bro. This is a Pirates side that went to the champions' backyard and schooled them. That second half was dominance. Okay, it was boring. Don't get me wrong. It was boring. That second half was a snooze fest. It was ass. But Pirates took them to school, bro. Every time Sundowns looked like they were going to have a moment to breathe, just clamped them. They got the ball. They were in possession most of that game. They dominated. They put them under pressure. And unluckily for Pirates, they have the best African goalkeeper in net. You know, Sundowns have the best African goalkeeper in net. And that's just the fact. the Pirates. You know what I mean? That's just it. So the game ends 1-1. A very good display for Pirates. If Pirates wins the league this year, we will all be able to pinpoint the win to this performance right here, because this was Pirates taking the champions to school. Okay, this was an elite level performance. It was incredible, and they didn't get the result, yes, but these are the champions. You know what I mean? This is a record-breaking team, and Pirates made them look like Mbokazi. Pirates make them look like Marumo Gallons. They made them look like Durban City. They really took them to school. And then there was the game against Golden Arrows, and if there is a team in this league that deserves to be spanked, 8-0. You see Golden Arrows, yeah? You see that kit that they made for this season? Someone needs to be exiled. Someone needs to lose their job, okay? They deserve... In fact, where are they in the league? 10th. That's too high. They deserve to be 16th. Honestly, Chippa United does not deserve to be that low. That should be Golden Arrows purely because of their kits, okay? Bro, it's a disgrace. What the hell is this? What is this? Ah! Come on, man. Anyway, let's talk about on the field, because come on. They put in a valiant effort though, despite their horrendously ugly kits. They put in a good effort. Pirates did dominate though. They did. Pirates looked to be in control for the whole game. They got their first goal, but when that equalizer went in, it felt like there was a moment. There was a split second of panic in the Pirates camp. But as soon as that second goal went in, it kind of it flushed away. Again, like there's nothing more to say except for absolute dominance from start to finish. Nobody looks as good as Pirates does this season. Okay, every single performance apart from the first two games, they've looked absolutely amazing. They've terrorized team after team after team. They welcomed Chippa United over in the very next game after the Golden Arrows game, and they did the same thing. Honestly, this game should have been 6-0. Go back and watch. Chippa was completely embarrassed. They didn't want to play this game. They didn't want to be there. Honestly, let's call it what it is. You know what I mean? Kaizer Chiefs. What? Kaizer Chiefs. Nigga, Pirates.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
This game should have been 5 or 6-0, okay? If you go back and watch this game, Chippa United didn't offer anything, okay? And anytime they looked like they could, like, get a sniff of the ball, Pirates completely shut it down, and they just hammered the Chippa United goal. They hammered it over and over and over and over and over again. And I think the Chippa United goalkeeper is a former Pirates player, if I'm not wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section below, but it felt like he had a vendetta against Pirates, you know what I mean? Because he was the only one keeping those goals out. He even saved a penalty as well. Honestly, he might have been man of the match, because without him, that game should have ended and would have ended 6-0 minimum. Yeah. And then obviously there was a Durban City game, and again, it was just a wash. It was a boring game. What can I say? It was a boring game. A lot of Pirates games are boring, not because Pirates doesn't do anything, but because they dominate so much that it's not competitive. You know what I mean? They are very dominant, and they are completely tearing apart the league right now. Pirates does something better than any other team does, and I've noticed this watching the whole season back again. Even in CAF, they do something that other South African teams don't. They utilize their crosses way more often and way more accurately, right? And that's led them to having so much more versatility in attack, because they're unpredictable. You know, they could go straight through the middle. They could score a goal from outside the box, because they've done that like 150 million times. They could go to the edge of the box and get a cross in and get that goal. They've done that as well. They could force you to make an own goal. They have done that as well. And then defensively, they're untouchable. They have Mbokazi back there getting the ball and immediately launching a counter attack because his passing range is phenomenal. But will they be able to continue this throughout the whole season, especially with a huge loss, right? Mbokazi to Chicago Fire. I don't know if it's great for South African football because it's the MLS. You know, let's be honest. Who cares about the MLS? Even with Messi, who cares about the MLS? You know what I mean? But it's a good step forward though. Pirates is gonna love that 52 million rand or whatever they paid for him. But can they continue to perform at this higher level without someone like Mbokazi leading from the back? I think so. And the reason why I say that is because this doesn't feel like a team of individuals. This feels like a united team, you know? And whether that unity is broken by the departure of Mbokazi, we'll just see, right? But at this point, it doesn't look like it will, and it looks like Pirates is just going to go on and dominate the league. And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, I think they're the front runners. As much as it pains me to say this as a Chiefs fan, it doesn't look like there's a team in the league right now that can stop Pirates. It doesn't look like there's any force that can stop Pirates going on an absolute tear and finally dethroning Mamelodi Sundowns. I think Orlando Pirates is going to win the league. Let me know what you think. If I'm wrong, tell me why I'm wrong. Comment down below. Let me know who you think is going to win the league. Let me know if I'm wrong and why I'm wrong. And yeah.